بداية، إلى أي مدى تأثرت أسواق رأس المال بالأوضاع الجيوسياسية التي نشهدها على مستوى العالم؟ يعني هل من سيناريو معين لأسواق رأس المال على المدى القصير والمدى المتوسط؟
So I will start by saying that geopolitical risk remains very high globally, with a number of conflicts that's going on and potential tensions to come. So what we have noticed so far in financial markets is that financial markets have not very much priced in some of these risks. If you look around the world, stock markets continue to appreciate. Corporate bond spreads continue to be quite tight. In emerging markets, sovereign spreads have tightened as well over the past half a year. So the impact has not been very large so far from these geopolitical events. Our worry is that with financial markets feeling fairly confident at this moment and volatility in financial markets fairly low, that they're discounting the risks. And the scenario that we're worried about, and as pointed out in the Global Financial Stability Report, is a surge in financial market volatility that will catch up to the level of geopolitical uncertainty globally. You ask about short term and medium term. I think in the short term, a lot of it depends on what happens to commodity markets as well. So volatility could surge if commodity prices, because of the conflicts, were to surge. In the medium term, geopolitical risk will lead to more geopolitical fragmentations. This means whether it is trade, whether it is financial linkages globally, those will decline if geopolitical tensions were to persist, and that is not healthy in general, in our view, for the global economy.
برأيك هل ستتأثر هذه الأسواق في الانتخابات الأمريكية سواء فوز المرشح دونالد ترامب أو كاملا هاريس؟
So we take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Usually, we notice financial markets to be somewhat volatile during election. Now, right now, volatility is very low, but it wouldn't be surprising that the closer we are to the election, we will see asset prices start to react. The second point that I'll make is that so far this year, almost half of the world's population has gone through elections and elected new governments, or they will be doing so. And so the policies that these newly elected governments will enact is not completely clear in many cases. And so this will create another layer of uncertainty, which may affect financial markets and asset prices going forward. So our advice to policymakers is to the best of their ability, account for this uncertainty in formulating whether it is monetary policy and fiscal policy, and to the extent possible, understand that the policies that they will have to enact should be robust to this uncertainty.
برأيك هل الأوضاع الجيوسياسية التي نشهدها في مناطق متعددة في العالم ستؤثر على قدرة بعض الدول على الوفاء بديونها وسداد الديون المترتبة عليها؟
Certainly. So for countries that are directly involved in conflicts, we are deeply concerned about the loss of lives and suffering. But more importantly, as well, the economy of those countries will be affected. So obviously they will see the effects in debt repayment, right? They have less capacity to repay those debt. But even for those countries that are not directly influenced or involved in the conflicts, they are typically sensitive also to global financial market conditions. And if conflicts become intensified and financial conditions were to tighten, for example, if stock markets globally were to fall, this would mean that financing rates that those countries will have to face would likely be higher, which makes debt repayment also more difficult.
ما هي توقعاتك لأسعار الذهب؟ يعني بعض البنوك العالمية تتوقع وصول سعر أونصة الذهب إلى مستويات $3000 في الربع الأول من العام المقبل. هل الطلب فعلا مرتفع جدا على الذهب في الأسواق، سواء يعني من الجهات الحكومية أم من القطاع الخاص؟
I think we're obviously seeing strong demand for gold, both from the private sector, perhaps because some investors want to hedge negative outcomes in the global economy, and gold is one of the more tangible hedges historically. But also in the public sector, gold is increasing, albeit slowly, as a fraction of global reserves held by central banks. And so these demands seem to be quite persistent, and which will tend to support gold prices.